one for you. I got an email on this yesterday from a really, really good guy. Actually, I've known him a long time. He said, Mark, you won't believe this. This is just still being taught in a children's unit of a hospital. That's all I'm going to say. Single person basketball techniques.
Okay.
This one is called, hang on, I remember the name, highly restrictive basket hold. So the hands are up here. They sent me a photograph of it. And he actually turned around and said to the trainers, you shouldn't be teaching those techniques. Yeah. And he said, in fairness, that they said, well, that's what we were taught, and that's what we've been told to think. We're just newly qualified trainers. He said, no. He said, look, and he got in touch with me and he said, have you still got that report? I said, yes, I sent him the report. And he said they were shocked that they were still today being taught this. And I know Tony Bleakman has done medical reviews for certain systems. And he said to them, if you don't take it out, I'm not doing the review. It won't pass the review.
Is that ongoing? Has that been settled now and addressed?
What, with the one I had yesterday?
Sorry, yesterday. Apologies. Sorry. I was thinking back to the report you did a while ago. Sorry, apologies.
Well, what I heard from Tony was they took it out, but there were still people reporting that it was being still kept in.
Really?
Yeah. Which it's madness. You know, if you get someone as competent, as knowledgeable as Bleakman, and Bleakman's not just a doctor. I mean, he's trained in virtually every system.
That's right.
Say, no, I wouldn't put that in there. You would take it out.
Yeah, but do you think then, because there seems to be, I'm going to call it a little bit of kind of creep, doesn't there, around single person restraint, and more from, I'm going to call it under the heading of planned known risk, the average freeze of discussion. But there seems to be a bit more creep around that. And do you think there's an element of that around limited resources, finances to get more people in?
Yeah, mate, this is the age-old question, isn't it? I mean, I put this to Michael Mansfield when I interviewed him.
All right, okay.
Because I'll come back to the single person technique in a minute, but
sure.
I was doing some work, I did an audit for a local authority, and they were sending social workers out to go and see people who were high risk. They knew they were high risk.
Indeed.
On their own, okay, because they didn't have enough staff. And they even made them use their own mobile phones to call for help if they needed them to. Wow. So no fast dial buttons were programmed, and they had to use their own phones. Mm-hmm. And I explained this to Michael Mansfield, and he said, look, I know there's arguments about we haven't got enough staff, we haven't got enough resources. He said these local authorities should be lobbying government to say, you need to give us more money. Yes. I mean, how many lone workers do we know that have been killed visiting people's homes? I mean, there's Suzy Lamplugh.
Well, yes, still, yes.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Jenny Morrison, Ashley Ewing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All three of them were killed in these circumstances. So when are they going to go, do you know what, there's a risk there? Yeah. And I went to, it's North Wales, trying to think where it was now, years back. And they wanted me to run a breakaway course for housing officers. So I said, okay. So I went up for this meeting, and they had like a proper meeting. People sat around this table. And they said, they have to go into this particular estate, and it's quite a volatile area. Now, I'm going to kid you not here. They had bricks thrown at them. They've had sticks. Their petrol bombs have been used against their staff, all right? And dogs have been set on them. So I said, so there's quite a bit of a risk here then. And they went, oh, yeah.
Oh, straight faces.
Yeah. They said, and this is the best bit, so make sure you don't fall off your chair. Can you teach them some low-level breakaway techniques so they can break away without hurting the person that's trying to hurt them, because they don't want to get sued? Honestly. Okay. I said, you've got a problem here. I said, which obviously is the thing. I said, don't send them in. I said, or send them in with the police.
Well, yeah.
I said, well, we don't want to trouble the police. I said, well, have you spoke to the police? No. I said, okay. I said, so you know there's a risk. Someone could potentially die, and you're sending them in. They said, yeah. And do you know what I'm like? I can't help myself. I said, they don't need breakaway, definitely low-level breakaway. I said, why don't you let me bring someone in like, John Stedman or Lofty Wiseman or Ginge?
Right.
I said, because they can teach you killing techniques, and your staff can learn how to kill people who are trying to kill them. I said, because they have that right. And they all looked at me as though I had grown another head. And they went, you're encouraging our staff to kill people. I said, no, I'm just reinforcing their right to life under the Human Rights Act. I said, by the way, as a local authority, you are duly bound to actually uphold. And I ended up giving them a brief on the Human Rights Act. And the net effect of that was they went and had a conversation with the police. But they were quite prepared to send their staff out there with skills that weren't going to work in those situations and end up with them dead. But going back to your initial question, are these single person techniques being taught because there's lack of staff or lack of resources or lack of money? Very probably, right? But if someone ends up dead or seriously injured, the court are not going to go, well, that's all right. You know that. No, they, well, yeah, I know you've had a problem recruiting, so we'll let that one go. Go get some more staff. Then when the next one dies, we'll prosecute you. They're going to work like that. Yeah. But it's down to and I read a report today. It was something like 83%, if I remember the figure correctly, of care home beds in care homes in the United Kingdom are privately owned.
83%?
Yes, yeah, privately owned. Wow. So, and local authority beds, don't quote me on it, go and Google it, but I think it was something like 7% or 3%. It was really low. But if you've got private companies, maybe backed by private equity firms, that have got 83% of beds or whatever the big percentage is, certainly in that ballpark, they're going to be wanting to make profit for their shareholders.
Of course they are, absolutely.
They asset strip. So you're going to end up with people working on their own. And only the other day I had a conversation with someone that said, well, it's all right to restrain on your own, isn't it? I said, no, it's not. They said, well, we have to because of this, that, and the other. And I said, well, as long as you accept the fact that you're now primarily dealing with a self-defense situation, not necessarily a restraint situation, because you're going to have less control. The situation could escalate by the very fact that someone's trying to take control of someone. I said, and that member of staff has the right to stay safe. I said, so if they do something, they use a higher level technique or, whatever, comeback's on you as an organisation.
And I think, which definitely is a point which links to this as well, isn't there? And again, another element of, well, just basic rights around safety that very rarely gets referenced unless people bring it up, i.e. people like you and I and or others, is about the right to walk away from a situation if you feel threatened for your safety. Yeah, because I'm sure like you, many, many times I've had the conversation, if, to put it bluntly, if you're scared, go. Go. Mid-sentence, go. Why are you waiting? But I acknowledge, and I don't agree, I acknowledge sometimes that issue about organizational reputation, organizational culture. And I'm not saying that objectively, I'm saying that from a negative point of view, i.e. how it would be perceived for them walking away. Your point there, people are doing this, this, and this in the community. So we want training about how we can defend ourselves but not hurt them. It links into that, doesn't it? It links into that dimension. It's just crazy